The end is in sight. I can confidently say now that I can and will finish the game. At this point, it's been pretty much exactly a year since I started outlining the basics for a 2D mountain climbing Metroidvania, and since then I've spent close to 1,000 hours on the game. Although I'm on the finish line now, there's still plenty of things to work on, so let's see what's been going on over the past few weeks. In all my previous devlogs, I started with introducing a new area. Now, for the sake of avoiding spoilers, I will not continue with that, even though I'd have plenty to show. In fact, in the past month or two, I've created the entire late and end game sections, and they turned out to be pretty big. Maybe there's even more than one ending. Who knows? Something I procrastinated over and over was the intro cutscene, to a point where I almost wanted to leave it out altogether or just drop the player directly into the game. Still, I thought it would be good to give the player a few hints about the story, so I decided to do this semi-still frame approach, where I basically have these static scenes with nothing moving except for some particle or lighting effects. In the second part of the intro, the player actually gets a little bit of control over the character's movement, but it's still heavily scripted. This, paired with some music, makes for a decent intro into the game. Enemy design and behavior has always been one of the weaker points in my game so far, and I often justified it with saying that the focus of my mechanics is more on the side of platforming and not so much in combat. Still, I finally decided to tackle this problem and try to at least improve on my existing enemies and bosses. Previously, I scripted enemy behaviors with a bunch of reusable mono behaviors that operated in a state machine-like manner. Now I decided to switch to behavior trees using the Unity plugin Behavior Designer. Behavior trees are kind of the industry standard for implementing complex, lifelike game AI. They are essentially a more powerful alternative to state machines when it comes to representing complex behaviors. As the name suggests, they can be visualized with a tree structure, and Behavior Designer has its own Unity integrated visual editor, so you can basically create your enemy and boss behaviors with drag and drop. Going into detail would be too much for this video, but I might do a tutorial on creating enemies or boss fights using behavior trees soon. Anyway, I can already say that the transition from my old custom system paid off, and I'm now able to create powerful enemy behavior much cleaner and iterate much faster. I spend a lot of time refining the existing parts of my world. This includes fine-tuning of platforming sections, adjusting certain passages to be easier or more challenging based on the opinion of my playtesters or just my own gut feeling, and also filling the world with more stuff like decoration, landmarks, and visual cues for the player. These things are just vital to make a game world feel alive and also to guide players and help them to immerse themselves in the world. Each area in the game has its own distinct background music. Additionally, there are several more tracks which are played at key moments in the game, like intro and ending and different boss musics. So in total, I have already around 25 unique tracks which I've composed. As a first step when composing a new track, I often like to sit down on my piano and just jam a little bit, and usually I end up with some spontaneous melody which I then try to memorize. In the last weeks, I reworked some of the older tracks and got everything to a level that I'm satisfied with. I'd really love to spend more time on refining the music, but as a solo developer, I really can't afford to spend too much time on that. Since last time, I've managed to set up a Steam page for Summit, so check that out if you're interested in the game. As far as the release date goes, I'm currently aiming for early March. However, I will not pressure myself too much into it if the game is not ready yet at that time. But as I said earlier, it's more a matter of weeks at this point, and I'm really eager to get the game out finally. Alright, see you soon for another update, And until then, have fun creating.